Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone to the sequel to our hit 2016 series where we went through the entire 1990 Marvel card set from Impel. Y'all really enjoyed that, and we enjoyed going down memory lane.
I even brought back my card collection from the depths of Florida. Oh my god, you can look at that.
It's intense light today.
That is my friend's dad doing the best job he can with the stock print program at his work.
But here below us, you have your Series 2, which is what we are going to be looking at this time. The
Complete.
The 1991 Impel set, which 160-something cards in here, and
167, baby.
This is peak Marvel, I think, for me.
Oh yes.
Like the first set that we talked about all last year was like super nostalgic, and that's how I got introduced to the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And go watch all those videos if you missed them. But this is the set where I was like feverishly devouring comics every week and was up on it.
And our little revelation, my revelation, was that I feel like I read everything Marvel was doing, but the reality was these cards informed me of the entire universe, made me. If I'm an expert now, it's because of these cards.
Absolutely.
The cards in 1991 were Wikipedia for you. I remember.
That's right.
I remember when we did the first set, the whole time I was thinking, I do love this set, but I loved the 91 set. And, you know, the next set after this is good too, but it's like, you know, it's black and blue spaciness. I don't like the borders much. This is such a clean border, and some of the best artists in Marvel history of the 90s drew stuff for this. And it's just great. And there are some clunkers in here.
But that's what makes this fun. Like, there are some ones where you go, why did they get a card? And like, this is also before, I mean, anything involving Guardians of the Galaxy, not in here. None of those characters were popular at all in 90 and 91, so you won't see them. But this is important to note. This is right before Marvel as you know it of the 90s begins. So things like Thanos is here, but the Infinity Gauntlet is only barely... Oh, wow. It's its first appearances in this, well, as far as cards go. It wasn't in the last set at all. 91, the Infinity Gauntlet is happening now, but you will see...
That's right.
You'll see like X-Men things that are still not on model for the 92 cartoon. So Wolverine, brown costume still.
And, well, because the blue and gold era hadn't begun yet.
It's just about to.
Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man was in full swing, but I don't think Rob Liefeld's X-Force hadn't really started yet either, or it just started.
So that's why you'll see like the beginning of peak 90s Marvel is here, and then Series 3 is where it's like 1,000,000% that is 90s Marvel. But let's begin. It's going to be a long video because we're going to do all the heroes in one shot.
All the heroes.
We're starting, baby, with the heroes. And the number one card of the set is Spider-Man.
It's so weird. The last set, the number one card was not Spider-Man.
It was Cap, I think, right?
My mom removed the first page.
Cap was the first card, but Spider-Man gets to start it off, and they start off right.
And that is Eric Larson, 1,000,000,000%, right?
It is one of my absolutely. They going through all of these, I found all the ways the different artists hid their name. There's only a couple that didn't sign it, but whether it was them sneaking it in or Marvel was cool with it, everybody got their names in there. So you'll see an EL. You won't see Eric Larson, and on other ones you'll see initials. But so EL's on there. I think he gets it on Spidey's foot.
I can kind of see it. The left foot, left to us anyway.
But this is one of my all-time favorite drawings of Spider-Man. It's just so cool. I mean, this was in the era when he was the Amazing Spider-Man artist, and his style was things that I actually don't like about Spider-Man when other people do it. His emotive Spidey eyes.
The eyes would get small and big and wink and like...
And also that blue is replaced with black.
Yes, I was just going to bring that up.
Which they mentioned because of printing. Like it was, I think somewhere in one of the letters sections in like the 330s, somewhere in Amazing Spider-Man, someone's like, why is Spider-Man's costume slowly turned red and black? And they're like, I swear there's an answer in one of those letter columns where it's like, dude, it kind of happened gradually, where blue ink is expensive, so we just started doing black, and nobody noticed. So this card is straight up red and black.
Yeah, it's a nice look, and it goes with the more like fierceness of the 90s. But when Mark Bagley took over with Spider-Man 351, not long after this collection came out, he went back to blue. Like they were coloring him blue again. But this really fit for Larson. Larson was the superstar artist that followed Todd McFarlane. He was nowhere near as popular as Todd McFarlane, but he was a big deal. And looking at this too, especially on the back of the card, he did the face as well. He really gets masks well, but his human faces are like, I draw the same dude face on every dude, and I draw the same girl face on every girl. But Larson's great. He actually, we are probably within like 50 miles of him right now, I think. He's
doing some on-the-fly production here.
But I think he's like within 50 miles of us right now. He lives in Berkeley, operates out of Image Comics, but anyway, that is one of my, all-time favorite Spider-Man drawings ever.
We're on the first card. But the other important thing that this set did was the power levels.
No more wins and loss record.
The three of us have a history with power levels, and if you know, good luck finding that.
Steal that video back.
It's great. But this is the first time as fans or as kids you got to see like how strong is everybody, and that's why I've also got up in the corner there the contextual cards that actually explain. So here you got Spider-Man, a strength of 4. For superhuman, class 10, able to lift in the 2 to 10 ton range. So that's a factoid that is burned in my brain forever. Spider-Man can lift up to 10 tons.
That's a huge range, though.
It is.
That's 4,000 to 20,000 pounds.
Well, if he's really thinking hard about Aunt May and needing to do something, he can break 30 tons. I've seen
like a mother they're pulling their kid out of underneath a car.
I mean, the ultimate Spider-Man moment, not capital U ultimate Spider-Man moment, but the quintessential Spider-Man moment is him buried under
all the rubble,
under tons of rubble, more than his normal amount of weight. He's like, I just can't lift it. He's like, no, Aunt May needs me. She needs me so bad. I got it up, and yes,
yay!
And it's one of the best pieces of Spidey art ever. But I have a problem with his mental level, but he is smarter than 4 now.
So intelligence. Bing, intelligence. He's a 4, which is like gifted, I think. It says gifted.
Gifted, possessing significantly higher than the average IQ, creative talents.
And that was how his intelligence was treated then. But you do have to consider, even then, Spider-Man had invented his own web shooter.
Oh, we'll get to that. It has its own card.
So he is intelligent. They've really ratcheted up his intelligence in the comics in the last decade.
And this is important to note, too, his agility, which is one of the defining features, a 6.
That is real high.
6, superhuman, significantly beyond natural limits of a human. And in the card, you can see only Nightcrawler is above him with a giant pirate hat on.
I love that. I love those
his Excalibur hat.
Yeah.
I love that on multiple of them, it's Aunt May is 1, which is below average.
Below average.
But and then Spidey's durability is higher than a normal person because he can get hit. But it was set up back then that like Spider-Man's agility was so high he just simply couldn't be touched. Unless you were Quicksilver, and even then you'd have trouble.
Yeah, Nightcrawler because he could teleport and anticipate a little bit, but like generally speaking, there was even a good moment in the Secret War issue 3 or 4 where all of the X-Men try to fight Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You're not gonna hit me."
And also in Secret War when he beats up Titania and Titania.
Oh, Titania.
And he says to her like, "Yeah, if you're fighting me in a closet, I guess you could beat me, but you really can't touch me. Sorry."
So that just again sold like all this plus he's 5'10", 165. That's what I am. Essentially. And like so growing up as a teenager in high school and then all through college I was just like, I love this. I love that he's like regular dude with short brown hair and is that exact height and weight.
How do you like that he's an Avenger already?
Well, he had become
honorary
a
Avenger.
He had become a reserve Avenger by that point. Not a full-timer. Wouldn't be a full-timer for 13 more years.
Wow. Yeah.
And I also love that factoid. His Did You Know, I think tells you that they were already considering bringing back his parents for the 1992 30th anniversary Spider-Man, which is now 25 years ago.
Sure is. Yeah, Richard and Mary Parker were U.S. government agents killed by the villainous Red Skull. More on that next year. We simply must move on.
Can't we just stay on this card for... Whoa!
Daredevil number 2, bam!
John Romita Jr. doesn't draw enough of these cards.
That's a great Daredevil.
That is really pretty. And some of my favorite Daredevil... Is this Romita?
It's J.R. Jr.
Some of my favorite Daredevil comics are drawn by him.
And I'm normally not a fan of Jr. Well, I am a fan. There's just sometimes when certain characters I don't think you get. Well, whatever. My personal taste.
Draw women.
I love that. That card is the first instance of me going... Maybe Daredevil is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like it took
you
me
wouldn't
a long...
know it from his power levels.
Yeah, They're all really dinky, but it's like it's all about the comic itself, like reading those.
So I would say his legal acumen would put him over to intelligence. Like
doesn't look that way.
I know.
Actually, 2 is weird because his
agility is peak human, significantly above average, which seems insane if you've ever read a Daredevil comic. That's above average.
Yeah, well, it is like, you know, they used to use the phrase like Olympic level or whatever, but it's like he is like as flexible and agile as a human could ever become. That is what he is. But his intelligence, this is an interesting note. In this, I was thinking of strength. Never mind. Where 1 you would think is like can't lift anything.
1 is below normal.
Yeah, intelligence is 1.
And who is the one next to?
That's absorbing, man. We'll get to him.
He is pretty stupid.
He's the basis for stupidity, though.
Yeah, well,
in the Marvel dictionary.
Well, there's actually a good reason. More on that in the next video.
Oh boy!
But Daredevil,
his agility's up there.
Daredevil was in a weird place at this time in Marvel Comics because in the '80s, Frank Miller redefined him. Daredevil mattered because of Frank Miller in the '80s. But by the late 80s, Ann Nocenti had taken over with John Romita Jr. as the artist, or as the main artist. And they did really good work, but it was still kind of just in the shadow of Frank Miller. The best stuff she did with it was continue his battles with the Kingpin and introduce Typhoid Mary.
Oh, that's good stuff.
2 of the big ones.
I have that collection, actually.
The J.R. Jr. was also just about to start drawing the Man Without Fear origin story, which is basically season 1 of Daredevil, or like half of season 1 of Daredevil, the Netflix series. But I also just love that he gets an action shot and a face shot in it. But
yeah, that's really cool. Such a great little vignette or whatever.
Compared to what other people do with backgrounds, like that is an extra level of depth not most artists did on
That's cool. Man, the Did You Know, and this also as an 11-year-old, 10-year-old did not help sell me on what a cool character Daredevil is, but the Did You Know is his taste buds are so acute he can identify every ingredient of anything he eats or drinks.
That's become the basis of chew.
That's potassium benzoate. Ask me more. Like what?
Carnauba wax.
That is so
brominated vegetable oil.
Yellow 5.
If I was writing that, I would have at least said he can read anything with his fingerprints and just puts them against newspaper. Like, that's more
He can detect distance through sound.
Yeah. I mean, they do get, like, common thugs and supervillains alike. They can neither run nor hide from the Scarlet Sentinel because he can hear the radar. They at least sell the radar sense, but...
Yeah.
But I also like to speculate that their placement in the cards is related to their stature within Marvel. I don't think that's really true because this is just speculation. I think... They didn't want to give you a pack of random cards and have you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to get the main Marvel universe.
Oh, absolutely.
They wanted to scatter out the collection, but I do love thinking about Daredevil being number 2 in the Marvel
Daredevil was a B-level character at that.
Definitely, yeah. Moving on, number 3.
Oh, yes.
Boy, hitting you hard here with the facts.
Blammo.
So there you go. The thing, the strength out of 6, which is superhuman class 100, able to lift in the 50 to 100 ton range, and that is getting like upper limit of Marvel. Like pretty much only Thor, Hulk.
Well, it's when it
Silver
taught
Surfer.
me that Thing was 1 below Hulk on strength, and as always he would be. This is another Eric Larson one.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get it at first, but you can see the EL, I believe, between his legs. But this is also, count how many times in this video series you will see the front-facing smile or mouth picture of Eric Larson. It's his go-to pose, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
He also has something my girlfriend would go on to define watching me read these comics: penis rock head, where his brow becomes more phallic. Not so much in this action figure. Fantastic Four action figures. Get them while you can.
It's you'll never get them again. It's a question for all Fantastic Four artists. Like, how pronounced do you make his brow?
Yeah.
I kind of like I like the shelf, but I also like just having concave holes as his eyes. Kind of act around.
Yeah, I just loved watching through the 80s and 90s, watching different artists do different things. Like McFarlane's crazy one where he's got all kinds of gigantic, like almost rock shoulder pads,
skin tags, really. And but this is classic blue underwear look too. Though this is something I think he gets kind of wrong with the character of Ben Grimm. That like he doesn't smile. Like he should be like a sad guy.
Was he in solo books around this point, or was
His
that
solo
over?
books had ended at this point. Thing 2 and 1 and the Thing, or sorry, Marvel 2 and 1 and the Thing were over by this point. He was just in Fantastic Four. But he is. I'm surprised they didn't give him a 1 intelligence. But
He's a pilot. He's pretty smart.
Yeah.
He's got to know that stuff. But like stamina and durability.
Durability should be 6.
Be a little higher.
I think his durability should be 6.
What has he got? He's got 5, which is bulletproof, stronger, harder body than humans, very difficult to injure. Yeah, I think he should be a 6.
Like Hulk could punch. He could take 8 punches from the Hulk, which I would think anybody could. Specifically 8, only 8.
Yeah.
Stamina is superhuman. Good for you, Thing. You made it to superhuman.
Yeah.
And unlike all these other Marvel characters.
It's the sentences that helps contextualize that stuff for me, like as a weirdo. So what is his stamina? 5?
Yeah.
Able to sustain for a day. Like he could fight for a day and not really get tired or have fatigue impede his ability to fight. Like right there on the card. Ability to sustain peak exertion before fatigue impairs performance.
Wow.
But
great.
the Thing.
And he was a test pilot and an astronaut before becoming that, though he's that's the did you know fact, though originally he was like a World War II vet, and then they kind of had to change that.
Yeah. Moving to number 4, because some of these heroes we talked a lot more about their origins and all that stuff in the Series 1 video. Marvel Girl. Jean Grey still being Marvel Girl.
Yeah.
She is less than a year away from becoming the Jean Grey we know. Like, it's weird to see all this X Factor stuff in here because it's like X Factor was so close to just ending and just having the OG X-Men come back to the X-Men.
Okay.
But they're still X Factor when this came out. This is an Art Adams one.
Oh, yeah.
And the Marvel Girl.
12-year-old Brett was into this card.
I would think even in 1991, people were like, Marvel Girl, really? Like,
it was a little silly.
They'd even dropped Invisible Girl as Sue
She's
Storm's
born in
name.
1963. How can she still be a girl?
Yeah, not a girl.
But what's up with that intelligence? If you look on the back of the card, the Did You Know does not relate to a level 3 intelligence. Above average, but she can also literally think her way out of imprisonment.
So this is weird because Series 3 has things like energy projection.
Yeah.
So like these particular criteria don't show her power that well.
Yeah, she's
because energy projection is a way to really measure her power. Like book smarts, intelligence, like 3, she's really smart. She's a gifted student, but that doesn't really get across like telekinesis and the ability to move things.
I thought that was part of the intelligence meter. Like,
well, no,
telepathy
it's not mental powers.
Because you could have telepathy and still be like, I'm an idiot.
It's how you do on a test or just knowledge.
Those power levels do not reflect what I think of as Jean Grey.
Well, my biggest problem with their power levels is that strength. Their strength is 1. Anybody who trains in the danger room every effing day, you have a 2 strength. At least you have a 2 strength.
No, strength is 1, which is normal, able to lift one's own body weight or less.
Just like me.
Because 2, they go straight to peak human.
I would think, all right, if 2 goes straight to peak human, then maybe not. But I mean, anybody.
But she's like working out in a gym or whatever.
Yeah. Anybody trained in the danger room is like that's CrossFit. Like you are at least high level CrossFit.
With a mental command, she can break any lock and untie any knot. 3 intelligence.
But again, that's energy projection. That's not
a fan.
Intelligence.
Also, just like she can break any lock. Like I would say, she could snap it, iron in 2 or lift a whole city.
So they just don't have an attribute that reflects Jean Grey. Period.
Unfortunately, not.
Well, Jean's powers. She was also in a weird era where they're like, well, no, this isn't the Phoenix. The Phoenix wasn't Jean Grey. That was the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So this is old Jean Grey, who is still kind of relearning her powers. She would get reawakened powers a little later, but so she also wasn't that strong. I mean, compared to what I think of Jean Grey is that she's she is an Omega mutant.
Yeah.
That's not this Jean Grey.
All right.
Yeah.
So to keep that in mind too in 91.
Now moving on is don't get confused. This is a different Phoenix. Rachel Summers, her daughter from the future.
Yes, one of her 2 future children.
But yeah, the Did You Know here is somewhat educational. The future world that Phoenix fled is only one of many possible futures and seems to be an alternate reality.
We are not required to make this future, says Marvel, legally.
So she had inherited the Phoenix Force by this time, and she would be flying around in outer space doing Phoenix stuff and having cosmic adventures.
A member of Excalibur.
And so a lot of these Excalibur, like every lame-o in this is Excalibur. Like some of my least favorite cards in this
I never realized how hard they were pushing that around this time period. The cards do reflect that.
They were definitely weird comics, but I remember like some of them were fun.
They weren't for me then. Like Excalibur was. I get now that Excalibur was for people, the comic readers in their 30s then, who were like, I miss Claremont's old X-Men stuff.
Oh, I love that stuff, man.
And Claremont kept his Jean Grey and Phoenix stuff going into Excalibur. Her power levels are accurate for the Phoenix, I would say.
Speed is a 6, is supersonic peak range Mach 2 to Mach 4.6 or 1 mile a second.
I mean, Phoenix has to easily fly through space. And
this is like which, for what it's worth, even at that speed, that's not fast enough to go through space at all.
No, it's not really.
But she embodies the Phoenix Force, or
she is the current wielder of the Phoenix Force. She inherited it.
But is it nerfed at all? Because like the Phoenix, when Jean Grey had, is it because it was feeding off Jean Grey's inherent power?
You saw her power level. She sucks.
Well, it kind of works with that, but also the Dark Phoenix is it unrestrained.
Okay.
The Phoenix is her kind of restraining it a little bit as well.
Because she also has telekinetic powers that are not reflected.
Yeah. To intelligence.
Yeah.
Well, and that's,
sorry, that's strength.
That's weird that out of all the pictures they could have of her, like, let's have her on the phone. At least that's doing more than it's more than just a straight-on face shot.
I thought you were talking about the main shot, which creates a weird optical illusion with her boobs and the buttons.
Well, they are spikes. They are actually like 80s biker spikes.
It looks like she has 2 breasts in her armpits.
That's art by Stephen Lytle, an underrated artist in this. He was mainly just doing covers at the time, specifically Excalibur covers. So it's why he did some of the Excalibur art, but not all of them.
Number 6, Submariner.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest card because
so weird.
It doesn't like that thing he's writing looks like another character. It doesn't. It reminds me of like he's writing Omega Red somehow.
Yes, I was just about to say Omega Red.
It's so weird. But
the gargoyle face.
This is definitely a period where I was not paying attention to Submariner or Namor in general, but his power levels are crazy. He's one of the oldest characters. He's the first mutant technically or something.
Yeah, retroactively he was not So when he was, as you can see there, his first appearance is Marvel Comics #1, October 1939. He will always matter to Marvel Comics because he is their first hero.
Sure.
But they also just like, he doesn't really speak to what Marvel is. Like, he is a weirdo created by Bill Everett, who's just like the son of the King of the Sea, who grew up different from them and just like murdered people. His first appearance and most of his original appearances until World War II was really going in America, he was just a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, he killed people, or he flooded New York City. Yeah. So, but then he disappeared, and then he came back when the Silver Age began, and he had been kind of an anti-hero back and forth since then. And his wings on his feet are part of his mutation, and that not all Atlanteans in Marvel have that. He has it as a mutant, which lets him fly.
I did not remember his last name was McKenzie.
I didn't either.
Oh my
God.
Namor McKenzie.
Wow, I forgot about that.
I feel like that was what
of the Atlantean McKenzie.
Yes. Sorry. Then we're not related. But yeah, his strength fades the longer he's out without water, so these power levels do shift. But
that's why he's riding that stupid thing. I forgot that. Did you know?
Oh, he can't fly?
His ankle wings had been destroyed at that point. So
what a specific injury.
Yeah, what a weird.
Namor, I've hit you with fin dissolving wing goo.
He has not appeared this nude in a while. He usually has a full-on like 1950 sci-fi suit.
Yeah, pants and his shirts.
Yeah. Like especially modern Namor with like all the Black Panther stuff and the New Avengers. Like
and as an X-Men too. He joined the X-Men for a little bit. I like Namor. I also like that he's just a sour dude.
Yeah.
And I also love him with his Imperious Rex.
Yeah. He's a character that would be a fun like foil in the movies because Universal has those rights or something.
Sorta,
I think they got him back because it was like the one outlier at a different studio, like Lionsgate or Universal.
He really should be in the MCU, but he's kind of grandfathered.
I don't know if his mutation prevents him from being in the main MCU.
It's a weird distinction.
I mean, the last time I remember seeing him is X-Men versus Avengers.
That's something they had to do with Squirrel Girl, that in the recent Squirrel Girl comics they even have a line like, no, she's not a mutant. Really? I heard this. She's not. So that was just all that legalese of like, no, not a mutant, so she could appear in Marvel things because she's not. And she is. She's in New Warrior show, which is going to be on Freeform.
That's crazy.
Last question for me. Did anybody else call it Submariner?
I'm sure I did.
You were a little kid.
I'm sure I did.
I think I always said Submariner.
It took me 10 years to hear the word said out loud.
Yeah.
Well, I knew the baseball team, the Mariners, so maybe that's why. But anyway, he was an Avenger this time. Not that interesting.
Which he wasn't good enough to be on, hence his name.
No. So
Mr. Fantastic. So this is one that, like, well, I do love that art. Who is... Like,
so this artist is Paul Ryan, and I'm going to bring him up multiple times. He was famous way before. When Paul Ryan, the politician, was in his reading Atlas Shrugged in a library somewhere, Paul Ryan, the comic artist, was drawing Fantastic Four and Avengers around this time. First Avengers and then into Fantastic Four. So a lot of the FF cards and the Avengers cards are drawn by Paul Ryan. Though I think Tom Morgan does a couple of Fantastic Fours, but I believe this is a Paul Ryan one. But Paul Ryan has a very workman-like quality to his art. It's just like, look, you want a monthly book out? I can do that. It's not going to be flashy, but I'll draw everything in the background that needs to be there, and I'll do it. I'm Paul Ryan. That's still what he does to this day.
Wow. But this, I do love the action shot. Like, I don't know, I like him bending like that. It's a little more dynamic than his Series 1 card. And that gun looks like
action.
Yeah, and that gun looks like he's playing a guitar.
I'm used to seeing him like over a bunch of beakers or whatever. Like, science.
Would you settle for 80 sci-fi equipment? It's beautiful.
But this is a good point to mention. His intelligence is what defines him. That's a 6, which super genius, possessing genius in almost all intellectual areas.
So this shows you the power creep that happened. That I believe back then they almost had this rule of like, only someone with cosmic awareness who knows the intricacies of the universe from birth, they have a 7.
It's symbolized by Galactus.
Yeah.
But the description is amazing. Possessing knowledge of all that is.
Yep. That's a phrase that is burned in my brain.
But eventually they did make Mr. Fantastic a 7. Like,
he's the smartest mortal in the universe.
Than him.
And his durability also, which we haven't really talked about yet, is 6. Yeah, he's essentially just like rubber or whatever.
I think this is a passive ability. It's less exciting.
Yeah,
but
can withstand most poisons, concussions, and temperature extremes. For what it's worth, according to this set, he has the same durability as the Hulk.
Wow. Really? I mean, he is that stretchy. I've never seen it put too much of a test. Like, I've just seen him, like, I've definitely seen many comics where he gets punched. He's like, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but you never really see him bleed or anything.
But I've also seen where Doctor Doom just, like, zaps him with something like, ooh, this energy hurt me. Which, if you've got a durability of 6, like, I guess Dr. Doom would have an energy blast that could hurt a dude with energy.
Did you know they went to the same college?
Of course.
State University, baby. Same with the thing.
All right. Thank you, Reed. Moving on. Iceman.
Wow. He's up there, man.
Before he was gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I would put this one as a Tom Morgan. I think that is very Tom Morgan face and background. He was, at the time, the artist on Captain America, and by 93 he would be the artist on Iron Man. And he was a nice artist for the 90s, but this is way before Iceman became. He is also classified as Omega now. He's like, you could freeze the Earth.
Yeah, so there's actually something on here.
I don't recall that being part of his abilities. Iceman wears an inhibitor belt to allow him to control his otherwise overactive ice-making abilities.
When he lost his powers and then got them back before X Factor, and so they did kind of have to be like, no, your powers are crazy. We got to turn this down. But I felt like it was more in like 95 when they said, no, Iceman could kill everybody. Like
I don't remember that.
But they had to say everybody's cool. And then I liked a few years ago they gave him the ability to make ice clones of himself that are just him. But Bobby Drake, like, this doesn't show much. Again, energy projection really lost in the thing there. But
it makes them look weak when your primary strength is a beam or a projection. Series 3 is where they really actually measure that.
They realized they needed energy on there somewhere, but this is back when Bobby Drake, he's doing his, I mean, he did the ice slide outside of Amazing Friends, but I always think of him as doing that in Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends.
And the best depiction of his powers is in The Incredibles Frozone. Beautiful. Beautiful.
You'll never get a better one.
Moving on to number 9, Shadowcat.
Boom,
Kitty Pryde, actually noted here as Catherine Pryde. Very formal, formal affair.
I cannot remember the last time I heard her called Shadowcat.
Yeah, probably last year when we did these videos for the first series.
I'm glad when they just gave up on giving her names. Like, she was Sprite, she was Shadowcat. Like, no, she's just Kitty Pryde. Same with Jean Grey. They're just like,
that's her name. Famous
got
Professor X
Scott Hall
beverage Sprite.
Oh, yeah.
That was Lyman.
That's Ron Lim drawing. drawing, which is weird to me. Ron Lim, I think, just kind of took whatever else people weren't doing, but he was not. He was on Cosmic Books at the time. He was gearing up to do the second half of Infinity Gauntlet, and so him drawing an Excalibur character is really weird. She's in her. I never liked her swashbuckly outfits like this.
That is so Princess Bride, Wesley right there.
There's some big ass '80s hair on old Kitty. This is also the weird time where Kitty was kind of like. Nobody else aged, but she went from like 14 to 24.
Yeah,
and this is kind of she's in this mid-range of
born the same year as me.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, wow.
But her durability is very high just for that intangibility. Like if she's not intangible and you just punched her, like she'd be down. She'd be hurt as any normal.
Yeah,
person.
that's hard to measure because even it's like if she's intangible, then her durability is like infinite, right? Why is it even a 5? Like why stop there? 5 being again bulletproof, very difficult to injure. I guess very difficult to injure.
Bullets can phase through her, but internet comments hit her every time, every single time.
Well, and it's easy to forget her intelligence too. She is a super scientist. Like there was a great story during AVX where Iron Man tried to hire her. He's like, no, I remember you are a scientist. You're a super smart person. So that she got to, though she's only at the level of Spider. Well, actually, no, she's one below Spider-Man. Spidey's 5 and she's below. No, wait, Spidey's 4 in this. That's right. Yeah. What's this? Her pal Lockheed. Yeah, it's also weird they didn't get Lockheed in this show.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Looking at his own card from Series 1.
Yeah. It was weird. He appeared in her card and his own.
Yeah, and then just left out of Series 2 in total.
And another shout out to Excalibur.
Yep. Moving on.
Hey,
that's Paul Ryan again. And
it really gets the sense of flying though, with the trail in the background, like following. Like I love that dynamism.
In the original chemtrails.
Yes, that's what it is.
And it's weird to me that they don't really draw Human Torch this way anymore with the orange lines. And just with the lines. I think he's more defined as a creature of fire, but it's just weird to me now to think of that as a dated Human Torch look.
Yeah, I'm used to too. Just like, well, he's orange. He's just flat orange or with like musculature details, but none of those little lines going down.
And the lines are like what defines it to me. Like
that made his action figures all look really authentic.
Yeah, that Marvel Legends, Human Torch figure was.
Though he almost looks like a skinned person. Like if you were to see a person's just how
inside out boy.
But they also have to make sure, unlike with sexy fiery women, they have to draw pants on this guy.
Of course.
Instead of just drawing, like say fire on the Justice League International. They just draw a nude woman with no nipples, but for him, they're like, no, he wears pants.
He's definitely got pants on. But again, no energy projection, so you don't get a sense like, he can fly kind of fast, and he's very difficult to injure, but...
I never thought of him as that durable. I mean, I guess bullets melt when they get shot at him.
I think that is that the heat is so hot that, like, I don't know, magically makes him too difficult to injure.
But he is always, once they made Invisible Woman not a joke, he's always the first Fantastic Four taken out in any fight. And wait, he's a brilliant race car driver. He's not that good.
That's all we know about the Thing is that he's a pilot.
He's a human. Johnny Storm is just like a tool. It's just like, I love making stuff. I build it. Like F you. I would not.
You don't like hunks, do you, Henry?
Actually,
bunch of hunks.
If I were to match up him and Spidey, I think they should just pull the trigger and be like, you know what, Peter Parker and Johnny, they're just boyfriends now. I'm up for that.
Should have gone for it in the Ultimate Universe. It was hinted at, and they walked away.
They didn't have the guts, man. They just put him with Kitty Pryde.
Moving on to number 11. Nightcrawler, full swashbuckle, man.
Jesus, where were we at? Did this Douglas Fairbanks Renaissance? This is Shadowcat. What's going on?
This is another Paul Ryan drawing, and they were so into his swashbucklingness.
Oh, totally.
Back then.
I don't know why they put him in Crash Man stage though. That seems weird.
Well, I believe this is the Danger Room where he is just always. He kind of has his own monkey bar set in there. I'm just like. I am the Leaper.
It's Kurt Wagner.
Masterful fencer.
But he was leading the Excalibur at the time. It's why I wasn't as into Nightcrawler as I could have been when he should have just been on the X-Men and been really cool.
Yeah. But I love that, that Claremont era of the whole new X-Men era with Nightcrawler. So much fun.
I just missed. I was always annoyed as a kid though, thinking that like somebody else says he's he has more agility than Spider-Man, or that he can stick to walls too. He's ripping off Spider-Man. Spider-Man's the best. Yeah. That was how I
significantly beyond the natural limits of a human.
That's what Henry will be saying in like a coma.
Spider-Man's more agile. So this is tough though because his agility way up there, part of the mutation to be that flexible. But again, the speed says it too, but with his teleportation, that makes it fuzzy because his whole thing is I can teleport and reappear somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I know he goes into a different dimension that he has to like actually traverse.
Yeah.
But he does it at like 10 times the speed, right?
That's always why it smells like brimstone.
Yeah, but like when he goes there, it's not like he has to then manually run and now I'm gonna unteleport, but like because when he comes back, it's almost instantaneous for us.
Yeah, it's
alliteration with a bombastic bam, a brief bouquet of brimstone.
Very it's so great.
But yeah, so like his speed is like practically a 7 in that sense. If you're trying to fight him, because he's there. Like,
I guess they save 7 for Silver Surfer. At this point, Silver Surfer is the fastest thing in the Marvel universe, pretty much.
Which, when we get to that, the way they classify speed still doesn't make sense. But
no, but I'd put him at a 7. Also, in HeroClix, he was the fastest Marvel character for a very long time.
I sold that Nightcrawler HeroClick for $80.
Wow.
Well,
like 10 years ago.
Because back then, if you only played in Marvel games of HeroClix, he had such a crazy advantage because he had a power that was only in DC figures at the time.
Wow.
Which was move and attack. So he could kill in a Marvel only match. In a DC versus Marvel match, he was fine. But
it's fine.
Anyway,
more Excalibur. But yeah, Giant Size X-Men onward. That run is so much fun.
Yep.
Moving on, Captain Britain.
Captain Britain.
Rule Britannia. Britannia.
It's because of these cards and this period where I associate him as part of the Marvel mainstays, and that's so not true.
No, he just kind of
got... just this year where I started really paying attention.
Yeah. I mean,
Captain Britain.
He got pulled in. Excalibur is the British Marvel comic, and I wonder, too, if they just made it to, like, sell more things exclusively in England. Like, Captain Britain was created to be the British book you sell in England of Marvel.
Yeah. And this is, like, a different version, though, because there's, like, the 70s or 80s one that's, like, a different costume.
I mean, it was still Brian Braddock. Like, it was always Brian Braddock.
What?
Alan Moore wrote a couple issues.
Hold on.
And
but did you know I can't... What?
Captain Britain's twin sister is also... Yeah, so Psylocke...
What?
We'll explain that.
Say that for the Psylocke card.
Say that for the Psylocke card.
Yes, she first appeared as basically his kid sister in classic Captain Britain comics. That changed.
So Brian Braddock is Asian.
No,
as we can tell.
Nope. But what a story to get there.
Yeah, Psylocke's the original Rachel Dolezal, actually.
But anyway, Captain Britain, born a mutant and dipped in Merlin's magic.
Yep.
Yes. You can get arrested for that now.
First appearance, Captain Britain Weekly.
So Alan Moore wrote on that book too, but classic Captain Britain to me is written by Chris Claremont and drawn by Alan Davis. And Chris Claremont has such an affection. I don't believe Chris Claremont's British though, but he has an affection for Captain Britain because of that. So he pulled him in whenever he could, and that's why Psylocke Betsy came back in his run, because he's like, well, I guess I'll never get to do Captain Britain again, so let's just pull in this character I like.
How powerful.
Yeah, he's loaded.
I mean, he was created to be their captain, well, actually their Superman, not their Captain America. And in his colors that aren't exactly the Union Jack, because that's saved for a different hero.
It's a different character.
But he is crazy strong.
Yeah.
And durable, though. He now kind of just gets, if he ever appears, it's mainly to put over a new heel.
Yes,
in
every time.
Yes,
every time.
That's a good point to mention that Marvel's a face territory. There are a lot more hero cards than villains, and at this point, it was very much you were buying comics to see the heroes, and I feel like not so much Maximum Carnage, but Carnage is...
Well, Venom started the anti-hero thing.
Venom, Carnage, and I mean, it gets to the point where like the storylines become what's the deal with the villain, like Executioner's Song or Doomsday, things like that. It all becomes Onslaught. It becomes like what's the deal with this villain? Whereas right now in the late '80s, early '90s, it's still about the hero X-Men. Who are they fighting? I don't care.
Yeah,
if
I
it's
bought this to see all the X-Men.
Yeah, I want to see Wolverine tear stuff up, and if it's Magneto, fine. If it's not,
if
I don't
it's
care.
Mojo, I still like this. I want to see him fight somebody.
Yeah, let's pop on into number 13, a famous character that we all know is
crap drawing.
I actually love it.
I don't like it. I believe this is Art Adams.
Okay, yeah, that looks familiar.
Is a jaw. I feel like that's kind of, look at those knees. Those are totally Art Adams knees.
Look at those boots, baby.
Cankles.
I mean, at this point, Tony Stark was not.
Yeah.
You'd never think he would be the biggest star of all Marvel characters, other than Spider-Man. You'd never think that.
Yep.
He wasn't. Like, he was kind of not.
I mean, for me, like, I discovered him, fell in love with him in the Avengers Data East game.
Yeah.
He was like the greatest player and it immediately sent me over into Iron Man comics.
He's got that 5 intelligence though.
He would totally be a 6 now.
Genius, yeah. He'd be 6, bordering on a 7, depending on who's writing him now. I think.
Yeah, I remember.
Like where he's like, I've got an answer for everything.
He is clearly the ultimate heavy metal superhero.
Because I remember when Civil War happened, and then right after Civil War, that they put him on the level. It was, what's the brain trust? Hank Pym, Reed Richards, Tony Stark. They're all at equal levels of intelligence. And in Matt Fraction's first issue with Tony Stark, he even had Tony beat Reed at chess, which was it was a telling moment. Like, look, in my book, he's that smart.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the intelligence meter. They're him and Mr. Fantastic are used as measurements.
Though at this point, he was kind of. Tony was a leader, but he was the leader of the West Coast Avengers, which is like, what loser town was he in, man?
And so where was Iron Man at this point? Because this is like people don't know he is, but Iron Man is his bodyguard.
Oh yeah, he was bodyguard. I mean, he didn't get outed till like the 2000s. Like they
really?
He was his bodyguard for a very long time. Like he only. Right after the Extremis story, do they finally go like, "Oh, everybody knows he's Iron Man"?
Really? I thought there was like,
I thought he was one of the only out heroes.
I thought during the Armor Wars, where he's like going around like, people are stealing all my stuff and I've got to stop it. I thought
more bad guys knew it, but it wasn't public knowledge.
Okay.
Like he
Makes
was.
sense.
And it was still played that way. Like, there were comics. I remember one of my first Iron Man comics I read, which was the Spider-Man annuals of 1991, I believe it was. He treats it like, wow, Tony Stark.
Is that the Vibranium
thing?
thing?
The Vibranium story where they fight him, Black Panther, and Spider-Man fight Ultron.
Yes.
And in that, Spider-Man, Peter Parker has a reaction like, wow, Tony Stark. You work for Iron Man. Works for you. Isn't that cool? Like, we were just about before Armor Wars, and we're just a year or two away from the much better redesign that Tom Morgan does to him, which is the Pentagram Center and his more sleek armor that pretty much was his costume in the cartoon. Yes. This is kind of the more bulky, rounded edges of old Shellhead that I like a little less.
Yeah. Moving on, 14, The Punisher.
What a great picture.
Big pun.
Big pun.
Some of us like to call him.
I love that picture. That it's Eric Larson just loves muscles and guns, man.
That's Eric Larson veering into the part that I don't like. It doesn't make much sense, but fine.
Yeah, look, Eric Larson. I actually have a bigger problem with a body he draws later in this hero set, but
this is another This is yet another. I don't need to explain who the Punisher is, but this is another one of those, like, Series 3 has, I think, fighting ability. That's another metric, because again, you look at Punisher and it's like, well, yeah, that doesn't look great.
How can this guy do anything to Spider-Man?
Yeah, he's pretty agile and he's tough. He can fight for a while. Stamina is 3, able to sustain peak performance for up to an hour. So it's like, okay, fine, but you fight literally any superhero and you're dead. So Series 3 has energy projection to account for people who have beams and they're not physically strong, and it also has fighting ability to get around. Someone like Batman, again, would look like this. Like, but you put in fighting ability, it's like, it's off the charts. He's gonna mop the floor with almost anyone because he's better at fighting than most people.
He is great at hand-to-hand and a master shooter, but I like how grim he is. That his face is basically a skull in his like a profile there. And Frank Castle, he's a difficult character now, like, especially the stuff they have there. The last sentence in his bio of, like, the only good crook is a dead crook. I was like, jeez.
Make America great again.
Exactly.
It's intense.
He is a hero to not great people, I think, to some not great people. But I do love the character of Punisher.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite first two. Him and Wolverine were the characters everybody was talking about in this period.
But when anybody can buy a gun and be the Punisher, it's a little less fun of a concept. They got to work with it a bit more. They do mention a microchip there, who people will be seeing in the Netflix series. And I forgot that priest thing. I knew he was a devout Catholic. Yeah. That's usually how he's cast, but I didn't know that priest part of it. One of my favorite what ifs is like, what if the Punisher got Venom's abilities?
Oh boy,
man, I miss what ifs. Oh,
and the '90s imploding on itself. Moving on from the Punisher is Cable. First appearance, I think, in the cards. He did not have
no, he was on the New Mutants card.
He was on the New Mutants.
Right, with solo his card.
With his like his tank top on or whatever.
They didn't really. He was so new at that point that he had just taken over the New Mutants and been like, hey, New Mutants are dumb. I got a lot of guns. Come with me. We're X-Force.
I mean, look at the empty space on the back of his card.
Yeah, there's a.
It looks like they couldn't figure out. Did you know he has a cybernetic leg and arm?
Because Rob Liefeld had no ideas. He didn't know. He's just like,
who's that artist though?
That's
Morgan?
Tom Morgan.
Oh,
again.
Morgan.
Tom Morgan. He was. He kind of just was a jack of all trades. You would wish Rob Liefeld would do it, and I wonder if he was just too busy, or he's just like, this isn't enough money for me. I don't know, but like. He had such ownership of Cable. Basically, nobody drew Cable back then except for him, because Cable wouldn't appear in the other X books.
And if you've ever played MVC2, you got knocked out by that weapon at some point.
I mean, you can tell this also isn't Liefeld, because this is a relatively restrained Cable design.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see his feet.
Yes, you can see his feet.
I always,
at least 1 foot.
The thing on his eye, I remember thinking for a long time that was just a glimmer or lens flare, but what is that? Is that...
It's a mark from the future.
Okay.
Like, it's part of. I believe it was from his registration as a mutant, but not the same as. Or no, wait, no. It's from him joining the Ascani Sun.
Getting tattoos
cult.
with Mike Tyson.
Kind of. It's a cult thing. I'm just gonna say that.
But this is also so early in Cable's background. Like, they don't know he's from the future. They don't know he's a summer kid.
He has no name.
Yeah,
like,
he has no name.
Cable.
We don't like. But again, that's what I mean. Like, we're getting into peak '90s Marvel with Series 2 and 3 of the cards, because the amount of unknown, like mystery without a plan.
Rob Liefeld had no plan.
It's just like Lost the Cards, where we'll explain all this. Like, please have a plan. And then when you start explaining it, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, if I was the copywriter, I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this? I mean, did you know is just an obvious fact.
Yeah, it's like, I can see on the card he's got a cybernetic arm.
It's like a copy editor. No one put anything in the did you know. There's no time, you do it.
But like, they don't mention the techno-organic virus. They don't mention like the level of his powers, that it's just keeping the virus at bay.
I mean, his time travel idea wasn't even around.
It wasn't a thing.
No,
he's just a guy.
Showed up, and his mystery was it. But that's also, Liefeld knew that's what sold it. Everybody was so into Wolverine having no memories or mysterious memories, and just like, well, who are you, Logan? What's that mean? He's like, whatever you want, man.
I remember that all unfolding much quicker.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Is like, Wolverine is a character from the '70s who got popular throughout the '80s and '90s because excess and mystery were very popular, and Wolverine is like, yeah, I'm excessive with violence, and I'm mysterious in that I don't know anything about me pre-Wolverine. So then you get a bunch of reactionary '90s characters, or late '80s, early '90s characters that are like, I've also got a metal something, and I don't know who I am.
Well, the cyborg.
Or I'm not going to tell you.
The cyborg thing and all the guns and pouches is so specifically Liefeld. Like, he loves that shit so much.
Loves Shatterstar, baby.
And I think Cable is his ultimate character. I'd say that is the top. Well,
Josh Brolin, baby.
Deadpool and Cable are kind of tied, I'd say.
And he's
together. They're both one of my favorite books.
Yeah, and he's going to be played by Thanos.
And they just didn't know, but he was. I think
Carl Urban.
I think they only finally started giving him a story once Liefeld was gone. Maybe Liefeld had some ownership over. He's like, no, I'll tell the story of Cable what I want to. And then when he quits in '92 to start Image, then Scott Lobel Fabian Nicieza can take over and be like, all right, look, this is a story. We'll just do it.
So, number 16, Deathlock, moved out of the Rookies where he was in Series 1.
Finally established.
He looks great there, though.
Shooting
He's
his gun.
a different cyborg. We're in the cyborg town now.
Yeah, wow. But Deathlock is basically RoboCop, where like he's a corpse that's been reanimated with a computer body, or computer mind. But it was fun in the comics where it's like, you would get thought bubbles that one was the machine computer trying to run the body, and then this guy brought back to life like, wait, I'm a machine? And they would like fight with each other, and that's a cool idea for a comic book.
I love Deathlock. I mean, he's RoboCop and the Terminator. That's kind of what he is, and. But he's like an ex-army dude or marine, which is Michael Collins,
played by Liam Neeson in the movies. That's a Michael Collins joke. I apologize.
but
he's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., strangely enough.
Well, Deathlock has been a lot of characters at this point. Back in '91 when he first appeared, there was only one Deathlock, but now Marvel has even introduced an entire Deathlock universe where every hero got turned into Deathlock, and there is a Spider-Man Deathlock, not to be confused with when Spider-Man sort of became Deathlock in that Eric Larson storyline,
yes,
The
Revenge of the Sinister Six.
But Deathlock has always been sort of a Spider-Man family character.
Sort of, yeah.
I think that's why I give a crap about him.
Because he's in Maximum Carnage. He's one of the goobers that gets roped into that.
Yeah. Well, Maximum Carnage, I think that was them just saying, like, look, this is going to be a huge event. Let's elevate all these other goofballs.
Time for Solo, baby.
Yeah, time for Solo, Deathlock, Cloak and Dagger, and I do have soft spots for all those guys.
Yeah, I do.
And Firestar also. Like,
except for Solo. I don't really care.
Oh, Solo sucks. Can you believe he got a new comic in 2017?
No.
That's insanity.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the Mario Van Peebles movie, Solo.
Why did I confuse it then?
People don't kill people. Mario Van Peebles. I'm stealing a joke from somebody. I forget who did it, but I just love that joke.
So you're not going to credit it, but I'm acknowledging
sorry.
I stole it. But he has a 4 intelligence. He is significantly higher.
I guess that's his computer brain.
And he eats the same food as RoboCop, according to Did You Know?
Special liquid protein formula.
They really did just steal it, like whole cloth.
A little bit.
All right.
I like old Deathlock. I loved his toy when you can see his brain. You can see his toy. Yeah. Really cool. And that tube from his gun to his backpack.
Yeah, feeding it with energy bullets? I don't know.
Yeah, having a backpack's kind of lame for a superhero, but I like the design. That's Art Adams, by the way.
Number 17, Gambit.
Hey. How can this be the only Jim Lee card in this entire set?
This is before. He's probably working on.
He's working
X-Men
on
number
Golden
1, I guess, right?
But he still was a big deal.
He was.
Jim Lee was such a huge ass deal. Like he brought in. Liefeld and McFarlane were superstar artists too, but Jim Lee brought in a lot more of like Japanese design to it and anime style.
Oh, totally.
Than that Liefeld and McFarlane really weren't into, or Eric Larson. Like it was Jim Lee and other Asian artists or Asian influence artists like Will Portacio. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And Mark Silvestri and also Joe Madureira. They brought in that stuff.
Oof.
And
that's strength.
He's
regular man.
Hey, you watching? You're strongest Gambit.
Well, and speaking of mystery / not having a plan, Gambit was another of like, I'm also Wolverine. Like, screw you. You can't also be Wolverine.
I've got mysterious.
But you have an accent. We can trace you.
He's like, I don't know my name. I don't know where I came from. I'm a mystery thief. I've got glowy eyes. I've got a trench coat. It's like you are 1990 the man.
But I love Gambit.
Yeah,
right?
Gambit's fun, and again, we don't even know his name yet here, Remy.
And that is the ultimate Gambit design. I love that Gambit design. Like, I mean, when you try to deconstruct it, like, okay, so is that like a body armor top, and then just like weird kind of pants with metal boots, and then a trench coat over that?
Regular trench coat. Yeah. But like, what an interesting power, like having kinetic energy and throwing cards and stuff. It's such a fun video gamey thing that made it very fun.
And his bow stick abilities too.
Yeah.
But this didn't even set up his background with like the what was that cult he worked in?
The Thieves Guild or whatever.
The Thieves Guild, yeah. And they kind of were explaining it as they went in the comics. They at least had a bigger plan for. I definitely think Claremont had a real plan for him, unlike Rob Liefeld had for Cable. But at this point, they weren't really ready to do it. But Jim Lee, god damn, he should have been drawing the whole thing.
Yeah,
like
that is some serious fun art. Like just it
is a perfect.
This is also the era of like X-Men powers getting to be so specific as to the point where it's hard to let them grow at all. Because those original X-Men, it's like I control ice, I control magnetism. Those are so broad.
Yeah.
And they seem boring. Like, I control magnetism. Well, that means I can do almost anything. And if I control ice, it's like, well, then I control moisture. Like, then I can dunk the world. But when it's like, my power is specifically doing this very specific thing, it's like, all right, well, then that's such a narrow idea.
When you already have a guy who can read and control
all minds
everywhere.
Yeah.
that you do need a guy who's just like, I get kinetic stuff, or same with like, I grow bones too fast out of my back.
Yeah, it's like, where do I go with grow bones too fast? Like,
but she's also Wolverine.
Yeah, but like Gambit, I feel is just enough where like, oh, I can tap into the potential energy into kinetic energy. It's like, so could I touch the Titanic and let that blow up? Like, maybe. Yeah. And they do explore his like ability to charge giant things.
But him choosing playing cards is like a personal touch.
Because he's a cool dude.
Well, they're cool. They're easy to throw, and it's also a small
very
thing.
Cheap. Very cheap.
Yes, cheap.
Got 52 in the chamber.
A small thing, a small thing that he can charge very quickly because, like in the cartoon, he grabs like a bag, like puts his hands in like nuts and bolts in a bucket and throws them at a sentinel or whatever, and doesn't do much because they're so small. But like if you're like fending off low-level goons, a card or any small item's going to be enough.
And it's just a cool pose when you can pull out a bunch at once. And he also had the edge of the rogue relationship, which made him like, you get some tragic romance in there too. They're always my one true pairing. I don't know who Rogue's with these days. But,
I don't know, man.
She's on the New Avengers. But anyway.
Number 18, Psylocke.
All right, let's get into it. That's Ron Lim. This really should be Jim Lee. When it's right next to a previous Jim Lee thing.
Yeah, especially Psylocke. I always think of Jim Lee.
What's wrong with your butt? Psylocke. He didn't invent Betsy Braddock, but he invented Psylocke, and it is what he's into. It is a sexy ninja girl, which he's great at drawing. So seeing Ron Lim do it, which he does fine, but it's just kind of it's a lost chance. I wish Jim Lee had done this one, but so Betsy Braddock, she was the kid sister, supporting character in Chris Claremont's run on Captain Britain. She then, as you can see, though this Betsy Braddock then was left alone. Chris Claremont wants her in New Mutants, so a little British girl joins the team, or a young British lady joins the team and has minor psychic abilities, and she's training on the New Mutants. She is then kidnapped by the Hand, I believe it was.
Somebody.
But she was then kidnapped, and they're like, well, we want to turn you into a ninja. They clone a Japanese woman's body, put her British lady brain in there, and then turn her telepathic abilities into creating psychic swords and mind blades. Yeah. And so that is why a British woman became Asian and became
she's a Japanese body, but the mind of Betsy Braddock is teleported inside of this body. But basically, it just comes down to like a ninja, mind ninja.
It's so funny there too. Deadly Fighter, and mystically after her race.
To mystically alter her race to make her Asian? You end up with one tough customer. That's what. Moving on.
They knew how ridiculous it was even then. Yeah, it was. Hey, race is just a social construct, right? No, it's
all this to avoid making her actually Asian.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Just a power.
Well, they had. I mean,
I think. Why
there
not
weren't
just
many
make
Asian mutants? And I wonder too if Jim Lee just was like, I have this design for this cool ninja, and then that just got married to Chris Claremont liking Betsy Braddock.
Betsy Braddock. It is the mashup of two very different ideas.
And
this is also her second costume because her first one is very bulky and like has a cape and stuff.
And show off them curves, baby.
No, now we got just classic 1990
One of my favorites.
90 design.
But still that big hair, big purple hair. And I like Betsy a lot. I was annoyed. Like, Olivia Munn did the best with the nothing she was handed in the Age of Apocalypse movie.
It was fine.
She was only cast because, like, they did a Google search. They did a Google search of, like, people say Olivia Munn would be good. Whatever, who cares? I don't care. Cast her.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
but
like most things in the movie, the look was there, but, it's fine.
There was no reason for her to be there.
Now, Andy Kubert draws the second best Psylocke, I'd say, at least of the 90s. Jim Lee first, Andy Kubert second.
Is there a trash can behind her? Like an Oscar the Grouch Sesame
I think it's a desk, like a hotel desk or something.
Yeah, I thought it's like a pillar that she's like in a like a Roman Coliseum.
All right.
All right, but definitely kill those ninjas. I didn't even notice those dead ninjas. Well, let's say mind killed from the psychic stabs.
Yes.